Well, I'm glad that I went second so that he took all the hard questions. But I am so happy that there's interest in liquid metal. I've been working on it for a long time and been kind of singing its praises. And I hope that I can convince you, if you're not convinced already, that it's interesting. So a lot of my introductory slides have kind of already been covered. We're also interested in trying to make things that are soft and stretchy. Why? So that they can be worn comfortably on the human body, maybe be implanted, maybe be integrated in new places like clothing and other places that are soft. We're of course working with liquid metals, the idea being that they are very, very soft. So this is a plot of modulus of materials, very similar to the previous speaker, where over here on this far right, you have diamond. If you go a million times softer, you'll see rubber. 1,000 times softer than that, you see biology, like tissue. And then way over here is liquid metals. And of course, that's interesting because it's soft and it's also a metal, so it's a good conductor. So how do you pick a liquid metal? Unfortunately, when people hear liquid metal, they tend to think of mercury, which is toxic. There's also these elements that have low melting points that are on the far left-hand side of the periodic table that have that do have low melting points, but they're radioactive or explosive, and so they're kind of nasty. So we've also colored those red. So it's really by process of elimination that we use gallium or gallium alloys. And you'll notice that gallium is right below aluminum in the periodic table, which is to say they're kind of like brothers or sisters. They have very similar properties. But there's one big difference that's important, and that is that gallium has a low melting point. So gallium melts at 30 degrees Celsius. This is a crystal of gallium. You can buy it on Amazon, so this is not exotic in that sense. If you're a Fahrenheit person, this is about 86 Fahrenheit. So if you held it in your hand, it would melt. But we add other metals to it like indium, tin, zinc. This is just one example. We call it E-gain for eutectic gallium indium. Eutectic just means the composition with the lowest melting point, so that's about 75% gallium. You mix these together and you get a melting point of about 15 or 16 Celsius. The previous talk, there was a question and said, well, okay, great. This melts at 16 degrees Celsius, but what if you live in Minnesota or somewhere very, very cold? Well, the interesting thing about this is it actually supercools. So what that means is it melts at 16 degrees Celsius, but it's actually very difficult to get it to freeze. I have never seen this material frozen. Presumably, if you put it in liquid nitrogen, you could freeze it. But some of the devices we've made, we've stored in our freezer at negative 14 Celsius, just happens to be the temperature of the freezer, never froze. We've done measurements. Typically, you have to cool it down to about negative 30 or below Celsius. So that's a huge amount of supercooling. So it's actually very difficult to get it to freeze. It's got a bunch of interesting properties, one of which is doesn't evaporate. So maybe you took a shower this morning? Anyone? Nobody raising their hand? Okay, great. So you dried off, hung up your towel, and when you come back the next day, it's dry. It's because water has a vapor pressure. This liquid has no vapor pressure, so you don't have to worry about breathing it or it going somewhere where you don't want it. But the most important property, aside from it being a metal, is that it reacts with air and forms a very thin oxide on its surface. Please watch this video because it's kind of the most important point. This is the liquid metal spread out on a glass slide like paint. We use a little bit of acid to dissolve that away. Just the acid vapors from this Q-tip are enough to dissolve that oxide. Without the oxide, the metal beads up. It's got an enormous surface tension. It's the largest surface tension of any liquid at room temperature. It's another interesting thing about this. And this oxide layer just forms spontaneously. So we're really just taking advantage of what Mother Nature gives us. This is a cross-sectional view of the metal, and you're able to see the oxide layer. It's about 3 nanometers thick, so it's only a few atoms thick. But it's important because number one, it protects the metal from additional oxidation. Somebody asked about it being reactive. It is reactive, but it's protected by this oxide. Aluminum is also very reactive, but you have it in your kitchen because there's an oxide layer on it. Same thing with stainless steel. So the other thing important about it is it's a solid, and that's actually important for this patterning that we've been talking about in this talk and the previous talk. So here is a little video of us 3D printing the metal just by dispensing it from a nozzle. And if we suck the liquid back in, you can see that oxide sort of wrinkle. The liquid itself has a viscosity similar to water, yet because of this oxide, which is only a few nanometers thick and forms spontaneously, you can start making shapes that would not be possible with traditional liquids like coffee or water or tea. So this has the same viscosity as water, essentially, but instead of forming a big puddle like you would expect with water, it forms 3D shapes. So this is all in real time, and it's all being done at room temperature. So one way to print it is just to dispense liquid droplets. You can also do a burst of pressure. It's like Spider-Man.